Hello, welcome to this your channel of the Meta Eurofan. Text me. These are not good times for Malta in these last years into the competition, having serious difficulties to be among the finalists. Not even the elaborated and energetic proposal presented by Sara Bonici during last year's contest managed to convince the audience. And although it was not a proposal that was intended to stand out much, despite how striking it looked like, she needed to set the last place she had in her semi-final, the second consecutive time for the country to make things worse. Even so, the island nation does not lose its mood and remains determined to keep showing the best of the Maltese musical talent to the rest of Europe. For this, we will check out the next artist that took the bait of Vonha to wave the Maltese colors in Basel. Here we go. For today's episode, I'm going to review the Maltese entry for Eurovision 2025, which has been represented by the singer Miriana Conte with the song Serving. Before finding out what she will be exactly serving, let's discover more about this young artist that intends to make a strong impression every time she steps on a stage. Having said that, let's move on with the review. As usual, we are going to review her biography and career before leaving her Eurovision and venturing into Alpine country. Miriana is an Italian-Maltese pop singer coming from the city of Cormi, located in Malta Island. She always has been interested in music since she was very little, taking singing classes since the age of 5, with which she has been developing a wide passion for performing, having very clear since then that she wanted to pursue a career in music. She will start to get noticed in 2017 with just 16 years old when she was announced as one of the contestants for the 6th edition of Malta Eurovision Song Contest, the well-known Maltese national final for Eurovision. In that first attempt, she will compete with the song Don't Look Down, although unfortunately she will end up placing last, having been the winner, in this case the singer Claudia Faniello, who ended up being the Maltese representative for the edition held in Kiev, Ukraine. She will try it again the following year in the national final with the song Rocket, improving a little her result by placing 12th, having won that time the singer Christabel Bor by gaining the ticket for the contest at the edition that will be held in Lisbon, Portugal. Then in 2018, she will participate in the first season of the Maltese version of the X Factor, which was used then as Maltese national final for the contest by only selecting the artist as part of the group Folk Line co-founded by her. That group will place 9 at the end of that season, being the winner in this case the singer Michaela Pace, who will attend the edition that will be held in Tel Aviv, Israel. The group will be disbanded shortly after that first season, and thereafter she will attempt to participate the following year in the second season as a soloist, but she will not end up being selected this time. 2 years later, in 2022, she will have her third time in the 8th edition of Malta Eurovision Song Contest, competing that time with the song Look What You Done Now, with which she will end up 6th, after being won by the singer Emma Muscat, thus being the Maltese representative that will attend the contest during the edition held in Turin, Italy. She will try for the 4th time in the national final done last year with the song Meno, where she will place 9 in the final show that will be won by Sara Bonici, as we already know. In her personal phase, Miriana has been recently diagnosed 2 years ago with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and she is openly gay, having currently a relationship with a famous Maltese female soccer player. Although she is known for being an activist in the LGBTI community, she had a participation in 2019 together with many renowned Maltese artists in the release of the song Roll the Dice, which will be appointed as the official anthem for Pride Week in Malta. Something that is undeniable on her is that she has not given up on her goal to represent Malta at Eurovision, taking into account all the times that she has been trying to date, the times at the Maltese national final and the ones at the X Factor. So they was expecting in a certain way that she would appear in the artist lineup for the national final this year. Now we will see how will end out what it will be her 5th attempt. Following the strategy of these recent years, the Maltese public broadcaster will organize the 13th edition of Malta Eurovision Song Contest to select both the artists and the song that will represent the country in Switzerland. The submission period was open in mid-November last year for the Maltese artists and songwriters who were interested in sending their proposals, closing it at the end of that same month. About the format, it will feature many changes compared to the last edition. The visual identity of the national final will be revamped compared to the one used in previous editions as part of the renovation and changes in the format. The procedure for the shows introduced last year will be discarded to return to the standard way by featuring 2 semi-finals and a final show, with 12 artists competing in each semi-final and 8 artists qualifying from each to set a final show with 16 finalists. Months prior to the submission period, the broadcaster organized a songwriting camp in June of last year in the Maltese capital, Valletta, with the goal of creating possible entries to be sent to the national final, in which there were 60 entries created, although it is unknown if any of them will end up selected for this year's edition. Then, with a change of procedure for the shows, the featured programs before the final show will be discarded as well, as it will be preceded by the semi-final shows, although they made special programming 3 weeks before the competition to give interviews to the contestants and give news about the national final. And finally, unlike previous editions, all the shows and all the performances will be broadcasted live. Immediately after the closure of the submission period, an expert panel will be in charge of reviewing the received proposals to select the 24 contestants that will compete in the national final, being officially presented in a special show organized by the broadcaster in mid-December of last year, and being Miriana among the selected ones for the edition, also competing with artists that already have had previous links with the Eurovision world. In one hand, there will be the singers Fabrizio Faniello and Jessica Muscat, the first one having represented Malta in 2 occasions. In 2001 during the edition held in Copenhagen, Denmark, and 5 years later in 2006 during the edition held in Athens, Greece. And the second one having represented San Marino in 2018 together with Jennifer Brennan during the edition held in Lisbon, Portugal, who were participating in the national final as a trio together with the Maltese singer Vittorio Gauci. And in the other hand, there will be the singer Kurt Calleja, who was the Maltese representative at the contest in 2012 during the edition held in Baku, Azerbaijan, who was participating in the national final for the second time. Miriana will make her first appearance in the second semi-final, where she had the chance to present her proposal live for the very first time, being one of the 8 qualifiers for the final show. Then, in that final show, which took place in early last February, the winner will be determined with the combination of the votes from the jury and the public in equal proportions. As usual, but standing out in particular that, in this case, the entry that will get a higher score from the public will take precedence in the event of a tie, unlike previous editions in which the jury always had the final word. After the performances of all the finalists, the voting results revealed that Miriana will be the absolute favorite for the public, while she was the second most voted artist for the jury, scoring the points needed to get the victory in the national final, and then subsequently gaining, after 5 attempts in the national final, the right to represent Malta on the main stage of Basel. However, after winning the national final, Miriana had to face 2 events that put her participation at the contest in danger. In one hand, the day after the final show, when Miriana was about to give interviews with the press, she suffered a car accident, which would force her to suspend all her agenda for that day, although fortunately she did not suffer any serious incident after the accident, and some time after, during the recording and production process of the official music video for the proposal, she had to change both the title and parts of the original song by request of the EBU, but the issue was that the request arrived very few days before the submission of the official entries for the contest, having to do with against the club to not get disqualified, and that will be heard with the release of the official music video in last mid-March. Set and ready to sell Conte wherever she goes. Now I'm going to analyze this curious proposal in further detail that has faced some transformations from its original version to the version finally performed by Miriana at the contest. This comes because the track with which she originally competed in the national final was titled Can't, and Maltese word that in English is translated as singing. Initially, there were any inconvenience with the title and parts of the track having been previously notified by the EBU after the Maltese national final that it couldn't be performed at the contest without any changes, but then the controversy came for the British public broadcaster, as turned out that the track's title has a phonetic resemblance with the word cunt, which is considered the most vulgar, pejorative and offensive expression that could be said in public in the United Kingdom, with different connotations in the rest of Anglo-speaking countries, meaning from vagina or pussy to slut, whore or son of a bitch, and therefore it is a word that cannot be said in open television, at least there in the British country. As a result of that, the British broadcaster, in accordance with the Office of Communications of the United Kingdom, made a formal complaint to the EBU, which led the latter to request a change in both the title and contents of the song to the Maltese broadcaster in only last March, as I have commented before. This request caused backlash in Malta initially, for the broadcaster going through the Maltese musicians and even the Maltese government itself, considering the action as a discrimination towards Maltese language and therefore considering legal actions. But here an aside must be made due to the following. Historically, Malta have only sent 2 songs in Maltese at the contest, specifically in its first 2 participations, both of them placing less in those editions, which would have led to the country to discard entries on its native language. And on the other hand, we do not have to forget that Malta was a British colony until it gained its independence in 1964, so it is widely known for the use of the word Canada by the Maltese people. Then those arguments about discrimination towards the Maltese language, taking into account that it was the only Maltese word used in the song, were completely unfounded. They knew perfectly that they were doing a wordplay with the slang expression serving gun, and that they would have known that the complaint would eventually come to them sooner or later, knowing how British people are in this matter. This was evidenced later with the joint announcement from the broadcaster and Miriana herself agreeing to perform the requested changes to the track, which will be titled Serving On Words, that I'm going to analyze right up next. The melody is a pop track where stands out in particular the inclusion of the known Arabian riff. For those who do not have a slight idea, it is referred to the classic repetitive melody used by snake charmers, tradition that is still practiced in some northern African countries like Egypt, Morocco or Tunisia, although it has been declining in the last decades. Miriana's voice is widely powerful throughout all the track, together with the clean parts by her both at the intro and the outro. It is a track that has a lot of vocal strength, especially during the final chorus where she has many vocal extravaganza moments. Talking about the lyrics, it has been written fully in English by herself, being the second time that Miriana gets directly involved in the composition of one of her songs, together with a group of Maltese and foreign songwriters. Stands out especially the Maltese producer and songwriter Matthew Muchu Mercieka, which has been involved in the composition of entries for the Maltese national final to a lot of artists. In fact, he has composed all the tracks with which Miriana has competed in all the times she has taken part in the national final, as well as in many Maltese entries for both Junior Eurovision and Eurovision. On the other hand, the British-Norwegian songwriter Sarah Everly Fullerton was also involved with Eurovision once by being one of the songwriters of the song Cleopatra that was due to be performed by Effendi in the cancelled edition of 2020 by Azerbaijan, although later it will be heard live in the contest stage this same year as a guest artist. About the contest being highlighted, it talks about female empowerment, as well as the desire to stand up for their own identity in opposition to the rules imposed by the society towards women. Originally, this was symbolized through the aforementioned expression serving content in the chorus, which usually describes a bold and self-confident person in women and people of the LGBTI community, but with the changes requested to the original version of the song, the word count will be replaced with an onomatopoeia that resembles it. This can be easily perceived by reading the lyrics more in detail, where the verses describe those common phrases that attempt to impose the behavior of women in society. Don't be so loud, watch your words coming off your mouth, don't dare to stand out, and so many more, to which Miriana rebels, inviting people to join her, to not let other people decide by themselves and be whatever they want to be. In this sense, the track undoubtedly transmits a message of empowerment and authenticity, encouraging us to leave aside the critical voices that pretend to censor the others, to enjoy life with freedom, getting us surrounded with people who transmit us positive vibes. Taking into account all the commotion the track has had since it was presented in the national final, and with all the events faced by Miriana afterwards, there was in this case a huge curiosity on how she would reflect the contest described with the official music video. The first thing coming to attention as it begins is a legend singing based off true events, giving a slight idea of what we could expect by watching the music video. Thereafter, some scenes of a crowd cheering with banners while they are interviewed by many journalists in the place are seen, while statements of some of the people attending the demonstration are also heard, both in favor and against Miriana, emphasizing the one from a male nurse stating to have heard she got wasted after party and that was why she crashed her car, then changing to shot shortly after with Miriana in a stretcher using an oxygen mask which takes off from her nose and mouth thereafter on when she gets awake. The song's intro then is heard while she is posing in the stretcher, with the song's title appearing and Miriana started the performance from there, being herself in what it looks like an emergency room in a hospital. This leads to the very first event based on a true story, when Miriana suffers a car accident just a day after winning the national final, by even wearing the same outfit she wore in the national final. In the first verse, she appears performing the track in the middle of the crowd seen before, alternating with other shots inside the emergency room as well as herself inside the room. I have to say that the different outfits used by her in each scene are very striking, even with different hairstyles. I guess she will be using wigs in some cases, which remark that bold and sexy character she wants to transmit both with the song and with herself as an empowered woman. The dynamic is scattered in the first chorus, standing out additional shots of her in a sort of warehouse with a group of dancers performing a choreography with office chairs, being then surrounded as well of many files, cabinets and chairs, where once again Miriana has a different outfit and hairstyle. With the second verse, the succession of the different shots continues, where stands out one more with Miriana dressing up as a restaurant dining table. You can see spaghetti plates, some mustard trays, a couple of candles, and if it was not enough, she has a hairstyle with most of her hair rolled out with empty cans. The costume is absolutely irreverent by itself, although it is not the first time that we see something alike, as Tommy Cash, the Estonian representative at this year's contest, wore a similar outfit as part of his model phaser for the Paris Fashion Week 2 years ago. Independently of how it came out, there is no doubt that the scene fits perfectly with the context of the track. For the second chorus, some additional scenes are added to the previous ones. First, when Miriana steps up in a garbage truck wearing a dress made with garbage bags, with a large amount of garbage bags around it, and other ones of her surrounded with a large group of dancers performing more energetic choreographies. I have to say that although I find the first scene very funny, I love it by the fact that she is so looking to portray herself as the anti-diva with all those outlandish and exceptional outfits. Also looking to mock all those people that have made negative comments about both herself and her music, like the ones heard at the beginning of the music video. There is another change of scene with the bridge thereafter, now from the cemetery, where Miriana is seen walking around a tombstone in which there is an inscription that reads, Deep Down, Miriana Conte, February 8, 2025. This links on the second album based on a true story when Miriana and the broadcaster received a notification from the EBU to perform the changes on the song that happened during the recording on that same music video. In this sense, she wanted to mock her own statements through her social media, stating that despite everything, the diva is not down, burying herself as the diva down in disgrace, at least in the music video. By the final chorus, Miriana is seen doing her performance from a pedestal in the same cemetery, while the dancers perform very energetic choreographies around her, which alternate with some of the shots previously seen before. Until there is one inside the room with Miriana and a yoga ball in the bed while she is having her vocal extravaganza moments. From there, both the juggle ball and the fan is present in all the scenes previously seen throughout the music video. Towards the end of it, with the song's outro, it goes back to the scene in the bedroom with Miriana dropping at the phone while she keeps bouncing with the juggle ball in the bed, thus finishing the performance. Before this wonderful music video, she had the opportunity to present her proposal live in her 5th attempt in the Maltese national final. Let's see then how was her live performance during her time at the Malta Eurovision Song Contest with the original version of the track. Recalling the staging in the national final with the song Conte, the performance begins with Miriana appearing at the bottom of the stage with a breast bluntly of cyan frills on its upper part while she begins the performance. Initially, there are mostly close-ups of her until some point during the first verse where the dancers appear on stage that join her for the rest of the performance wearing Boy Scout outfits in similar colors like Miriana's dress. The visual graphics are not that outstanding at first, showing different textures while the lighting is featured in white and fuchsia tones. Just before the first chorus, the dancers take off Miriana's dress to show the outfit behind it, a tight full body outfit with striped patterns, keeping up the performance with a much bold and sassy attitude. Both Miriana and the dancers keep a danceable dynamic during the second verse and the second chorus, in smoke columns sometimes, until the dynamic changes slightly by the bridge, where one of the dancers giving her a load and Miriana pretends to play while he is holding the microphone for a few seconds, and then all the dancers disappear from the stage, keeping the close-ups on Miriana. With the last chorus, she has her vocal extravaganza moments, while some screenshots of many negative comments received from the song appears in the visual graphics, until the dancers reappear again with flashier outfits, pink yoga balls, and big fangs. In fact, they bring Miriana a yoga ball as well, then bouncing them to the rhythm of the song at the center of the stage, while more smoke columns appear until the end of the performance. On first hand, I have seen the performance okay overall, although there have been details that did not convince me too much or that I did not understand at all. About the dancers dressed like Boy Scouts, for me these outfits do not fit with the context of the track, and neither most of the dances they perform on stage except for the final part in the final chorus. The loud moment on the bridge was unnecessary in my opinion. I do not get the fact of incorporating a musical instrument that it is not heard in the instrumentation of the track. And last, the vocal performance from Miriana has flawed many times during the performance. After listening her singing, what came to my mind was that she will need to fix those details ahead of the contest. In the end, it is not the first time she is stepping on a stage to present a proposal. Even with all that, it ended up being an entry that managed to conquer both the jury and the public, and that in her case, it was her 5th time lucky for her. After all the controversies and all the changes to the final version of the song, now titled Serpent, Miriana will be, like her fellow contestants, presenting her proposal live in the different Eurovision pre-parties of the season, but standing out that she was the only contestant that made a quite original and different promotion compared to the rest. For the Eurovision pre-party in Amsterdam, Netherlands, before the song, there was a short remix of the track with the song Europapa by Just Clyde, then later appeared on stage dressed like a waffle, outfit that would take off to do her performance, making in this case a more simplified staging by herself without dancers. Later, at the Eurovision pre-party in London, United Kingdom, the same formula was repeated, with a short remix of the track with the song Wannabe by Spice Girls in this case, face, then shortly after appearing on stage with a pillow on her neck and a blanket that would take off later to reveal her outfit allegory to the British flag. But the most outstanding moment came during the final chorus when some of her fellow contestants joined her on stage with yoga balls, Marco Bosnia for Croatia, Gojo for Australia, Cesar for Denmark and JJ for Austria. I think that moment was totally unexpected for everyone, but it has been absolutely hilarious, in addition of being a nice gesture from her fellow contestants. Finally, at the Eurovision pre-party in Madrid, Spain, following the same formula, this time there was a short remix of the track with the song Sora by Nebulosa, joined initially by Cesar, JJ and Kyle Alessandro for Norway on stage, to later present Miriana dressed like an egg, costume that she will take off later with the help of them to show an outfit allegory to the Spanish flag. And for the final chorus, other fellow contestants joined her on stage with the yoga balls, in this case the guys of Kai from Sweden, resulting in a both hilarious and iconic moment. She was great in all her performances, although in this last one she had to do playback due to feeling sick of her throat, but that did not stop her to keep showing her attitude and sassiness on stage. For the staging in Basel, it could be seen according to the first rehearsals that it changed a lot compared to what we saw in the national final. The most remarking element is a prop that recreates red legs with a disco ball, from where it is believed that she will appear initially with red dyed hair and a pompous dress in yellow and black tones, revealing later another stripped outfit like in the national final but in red tones, being joined by a different group of dancers that wear very flashy outfits. Yoga balls could not be missed in this case, obviously for the final part. The visual graphics will radically change, although this cannot be detailed too much initially, and the lighting is fundamentally in white and red tones. Watching her live performance in the second semi-final, it is focused initially in the legs with the disco ball at the bottom of the stage, while there are visual graphics with many yellow flowers, sculptures, naked bodies, and her name written in stones, giving the impression that it will be like a recreation of her out tomb, making a wink to the cemetery part of the music video, until the disco ball turns around to show Miriana inside of it, starting to perform the track from there. The dancers start to appear little by little, then helping her to get down from the disco ball by the first chorus, while they start to perform quite energetic choreographies, until they take off Miriana's dress to reveal the outfit behind it, thus having a sassier attitude together with the dancers, also complemented with the lighting, smoke columns, and song of phrases of the track appearing often in the visual graphics. The dynamic keeps quite similar during the second verse, with the dancers starting to use fangs, while the visual graphics featured a structure that resembles a coliseum with a heart-shaped gate with and the lighting featured blue tones, for instance. The scene changes by the bridge, where there is a leg choreography done by the dancers that are also featured in the visual graphics, while Miriana is approaching little by little to the front of the stage as she is having her vocal extravaganza moment. With the final chorus, the dancers also approach the front of the stage with her to get the yoga balls that will appear as it gonna be in other way in the final instance of the performance. And then in the visual graphics there is a quite curious iconography, with many leopard statues and yoga balls vibrating to the rhythm of the song, until the performance finishes with the phrase "Diva knelt down" appearing in the visual graphics with a lot of smoke columns. I consider that it has been quite improved in comparison to what she presented in the national final. She was vocally on point all the time, and I saw this performance more consistent with the context of the track in overall. Although I had to say, however, it was not that impactful as I expected. It is true that everything that appeared during the performance fits with that audacious and sassy style she wanted to show. Maybe it could be seen a little exaggerated and bizarre by instance, performance, but she is already very bold and shameless. Taking into account all her path during the season, I had any doubts on her qualifying into the grand final as it will happen eventually. Thereafter, during the grand final, at the reveal of the voting results, Miriana would be initially placing on 12 thanks to the jury, so there was expectation on how many points we'll get from the public. But then the televote will only give her a handful of points, which will make her drop some positions until finally placing 17th in the final ranking. Making a summary of everything commented so far, the Maltese entry for this year is just wonderful. I have to admit that this entry did not get my attention initially, especially from what I saw in the national final. But then later, taking into account everything that Miriana had to face during the season and the way she used those setbacks to boost her proposal, both in the official music video and her subsequent live performances, I think that it was absolutely amazing and clever for her, which made me had more interest in her proposal and listened to her song much more often. Like the drag queens that appear at the beginning of the music video have said, she is an icon, she is a legend, and she is the moment. And the truth is that I absolutely agree with them. Miriana can be fully proud of what she achieved with her proposal. The final result has broken the disqualification chain that the Mediterranean country was having since some years ago, although maybe there was the expectation of a much higher position from what Miriana ended up achieving. Even so, the fact of getting back Malta to the grand final is a quite outstanding achievement, taking into account that she was in a quite complicated semi-final, and I'm very sure that this entry will be remembered for a long time. Shortly after her participation at Eurovision, she has released a new single in last July that could be considered a follow-up of the song with which she participated at the contest. And since then, she has remained busy performing in many events both on Malta and abroad. Maybe this could encourage her on working more seriously in many more songs that eventually could take part of a possible debut studio album. This has been the Maltese proposal of this year for the contest. What do you think about it? Do you say that she sucked with her proposal, or was it too exaggerated or bizarre for you instead? Whatever is your opinion, let me know in the comments down below. I'm sure that the discussion will be quite interesting. And this is it for today's episode. If this video has been of your taste, then take a few seconds to give a like for not only helping me by bringing me your support, but also this content can be reached to more people. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not done it yet, and leave notifications by the bell, and through my social media you can follow me as well. Take care and see you in the next episode. Bye bye.